Hello YouTube, Robert Alvarez, the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting and a Fan. I am feeling a lot better today. I'm feeling even better today than I did when I uploaded my last video, 12 hours ago, 13 hours ago. So I want to apologize because I see a graininess in my video. And first of all, I thought it would be cool for me to actually do a video in the daytime, you know, when it's bright and light outside. However, there is this glare that comes in through my living room window. So I had the idea to put a fitted sheet over the exposed parts, but the fitted sheet is red. And those of us that remember, you know, television sets that had cathode rays, you know, when you pressed your eyes like right next to the like right up to the screen, you saw these little dots that were red and green and blue. And if you look, you see a lot of green and a lot of blue at the bottom. So next time I do the blackout screen thing, I'll probably use something that's black, you know, and that might, you know, eliminate the glare entirely. But for right now, I thought it would be cool to do a video when it's still daylight outside. Really, you know, because all of my videos have been around the witching hour, when it's like, you know, midnight and black outside and dark, you know. So anyway, so as I've said in previous videos, with me there's always a story. So one of my favorite places on the planet is New Hope, Pennsylvania. I'm adjusting my chair because it's a good chair. It was a gift from a client's boyfriend, and I just needed to adjust it. So yeah. Anyway, so with me there's always a story. So New Hope, Pennsylvania, I finally went back after not having been there for approximately 1.5 years, and I went on Friday, May 22nd of this year, 2015. Now, when I was leading my very second goddess course, Goddess to the Next Level, I would usually email the participants on Mondays and Fridays. Now, in magical traditions, Monday is the day of the moon, which is a feminine planet, and Friday is the day of Venus, also a feminine planet. So I don't remember how I discovered this blog, but I discovered this blog, and you know, as somebody that's been using creating a WordPress blog for more than 3 years. Hold on, because something is misbehaving and it's making that sound. Okay. Oh my! You would think Mercury is still retrograding, but we are in the post Mercury retrograde storm. So there you go. Like I was saying. So I discovered this blog, and this blog featured a goddess-themed divination deck. So I included the link to that particular post for that particular Friday. No, it was I think it was the previous Friday. So here I am, you know, and I'm like, okay, this is a clear and evident sign, especially since Ishtar is astrologically linked to the planet Venus, and again, Friday is the day of Venus. So I went with 2 of the participants of Goddess to the Next Level, and of course, when we went to New Hope, we went to one of my all-time favorite places in New Hope, which is Gypsy Heaven, the witch shop of New Hope. And I found the deck that was depicted in that particular blog post. Now, the blog post featured a card from the deck, and I will tell you a little bit about the deck now. So the deck is called the Journey to the Goddess Realm Oracle deck. And, you know, I used to give readings in a metaphysics store in Queens, in New York City. And the owner would receive the New Leaf catalog, as well as other brochures and other catalogs. So I always knew when a new deck was going to come out. It's not as automatic in my life anymore, where it's like, you know, now if I want to know if a new deck is coming out, I visit those publishing houses' respective websites. And I often don't do that. It's like I visit the website when I have a thought, or I want to check something out, or whatever. But then I discovered these soon-to-be-released treasures that are not hidden, but they have yet to be published. Because my birthday is January 8th, I'm always curious about which books and decks are going to be published in January, because it's like, ooh, birthday gift. Anyway, so the card that was depicted in this deck, from this deck, was Ishtar. And whenever I would send the participants an email on a Friday, I would always begin with good morning or good afternoon, and a happy Friday and day of Venus, /Ishtar, /Freya, /Aphrodite, /Oshun to all of you. And if, let's say, it was a new moon or a full moon, I would always include, and a blessed new moon or full moon in whatever sign it was to you too. You know, that's how I roll when I create a broadcast email. Anyway, so I love the deck, and I will show you. I'm actually going to show you the whole thing. So this is the front of the deck, and that, by the way, is Briad. Briad is the Irish goddess of divine inspiration, divine healing, and divine prosperity. And on the back, you have two other goddesses. The left goddess is Seshat. Seshat is the ancient Egyptian goddess of the mind, of cosmic intelligence, of the intellect. And I also associate writing with her. And the one on the right is Amaterasu, also known as Amaterasu Okimaki. Damn, I forgot the last part incorrectly. Amaterasu, who is the Japanese goddess of the rising sun. So this is the guidebook, and I forgot which goddess that is, but I'm going to say, oh, wait a minute. I see the owl, I see the feathers. It's Freya, and the chariot was a dead giveaway. It has, the title page. What I do not like about this booklet is that it doesn't have any spreads. I personally, I feel that if there's going to be a divination deck, it deserves to have at least one spread of its own. There are different goddesses from different pantheons. You have the Greek pantheon, the Irish pantheon, the Welsh, the ancient Egyptian, the Greek. I think I said Greek. You also have the Hindu pantheon, and you have a few other goddesses, some other Celtic goddesses. There's an Eskimo Inuit goddess, there's a Native American goddess, there are a few Norse goddesses, two or three Roman goddesses, and you also have an Australian Aborigine goddess whose name I cannot pronounce. I'm not even going to bother. I'm going to spell it for you, though. Capital WURTUPRANILI. Wurtupranili. I don't even know if I'm spelling that correctly. The deck was created by a woman named Lisa Porter, who is a self-taught artist and illustrator. The deck is published by U.S. Game Systems, which is headquartered in Stamford, Connecticut. The deck has this card, which is the advertisement card from a publishing perspective. But as I've mentioned in previous videos, I would use this as the blank card or the unknowable card. So it would basically be the oracle's way of saying to the client, you're not going to receive a response to your question at this time. I think this is a very important card to use. I really feel that it's important for a divination deck or an oracle card deck or even a tarot deck to establish that. For those of us that use the Sacred Tarot, think about what card would represent the unknowable for you. One example is the Hanged Man. And I'll tell you why. Because in the runes, in the Viking runes, the unknowable rune, the blank rune, is synonymous or indicative of Odin. Now, if you look at the Hanged Man card allegorically, oh yeah, I keep hearing my psychic guide saying, have people correct you on that. So if, for those of you that are more familiar with runes than I am, in the event that what I said about the blank and unknowable rune being connected to Odin being incorrect, please correct me, because I'm not as well versed in the runes as I am with tarot cards and oracle cards and divination decks, or goddesses for that matter. So, but allegorically speaking, Odin is represented by the Hanged Man card, because remember, Odin hung upside down from Yggdrasil, which is the tree of knowledge, or the tree of life. I think it's the tree of knowledge. And after hanging upside down for 9 days and 9 nights, although I want to say 21 days and 21 nights for some reason, he received the runes, the Futhark. This is the back of the card design, which is very lovely. I must admit, it's, normally I would look at this as being too busy and maybe even too colorful, but it's offset by this beautiful midnight blue sky with stars. So I happen to love this deck. Oh, yes, so, for me, I could easily use the Hanged Man card as a blank card or an unknowable card. Although for me, psychically speaking, I would probably use a different card, because I have interpretations that my psychic guides gave me regarding that card that I use in my readings, and they're almost always on the mark when I use those particular interpretations. Now, the other cool thing about this deck are these cards that are exclusive to it. So you have the Negation card, which is also known as Confirmation number 1, and you see the chalice of wine that spilled. The card started moving, and I'm like, don't fly away, don't fall on the floor. Yeah, all right. Yeah, these cards have a lot more energy than I realized. You have the full moon. So this is essentially, and this is symbolic of the shadow in the guidebook. So this is this oracle card deck's way of saying no. So then you have affirmation, which is confirmation card number 2. And I would say this is the yes card in this deck. And I'm going to reread what keywords are associated with these cards. Yeah, it just says affirmation. But for confirmation 1, it says negation, but in parentheses following it says shadow. And then this card, which is revelation, or confirmation card number 3, after the word revelation, in parentheses, it has the word non-duality. So for me, this would be a maybe card. So one could easily use these 3 cards as no, yes, and maybe. But I personally would not feel comfortable, nor would I even entertain using just these 3 cards, because this deck has 39 cards, which by the way is 13 times 3. So with this deck, I'm actually going to use and show all the cards. So Amari Omni, who is a Lemurian goddess. Lemuria is the ancient seat of all Eastern civilization. Just like Atlantis is the seat of all Western civilization. The card is subtitled Self-Healing. One of the first things that I learned about Lemuria is that Lemuria was at war against Atlantis. Yes, that was one of my cats. That was Corée. Corée showed herself a little bit. We all caught that. Amaterasu. And the card is appropriately subtitled Inner Beauty. Amphitrite, a Greek goddess, and I believe she is connected to the Nereids and to Poseidon. And the card is subtitled Willpower. Ariadne, looking very much like the like the Cretan snake god, like the Cretan snake priestess. Boy, I completed a goddess course and I forget some fundamental goddess lore. And the card is subtitled Omens. Snakes in ancient civilizations were used as omens, as portents. Athena, initiative. One of the most, this is a word that came to my mind when I was mentally preparing for this video. Iconic. There is something very iconic about Athena, although I think the more accurate term would be archetypal. She is one of the most well-known and most beloved of warrior goddesses. And as I'm fond of saying, the ancient Greeks named their most beloved city not after a god, but after a goddess. Athens, Athena. Coincidence? Yeah, right. Baba Yaga. I love Baba Yaga. She is the Slavic goddess of transformation, of rebirth. Her season, of course, is autumn, winter. She is, of course, very connected to the witch's holy day of Samhain. The cauldron and the broom are a dead giveaway. I love Baba Yaga because she does have this, and I'm going to use a bit of a pun, this sweeping, transformative wave of energy. She's like, it's not working, it's dirty, sweep it on out. Fwah! That's Baba Yaga. Balbo. I love talk about a pun. Balbo has a lot of similarities to Uzume. Uzume is the Japanese goddess that, like Balbo, lifted up her skirts and showed off her wise crack. And yes, she did. And of course made everybody laugh in the process. Balbo did the same thing, although I don't remember, that's what it was, yes. So Balbo was lifting up her skirts and showing off her wise crack so she could make Demeter laugh. Why? Because Demeter's divine daughter Persephone was abducted by Hades. We all know how that story goes. Now, according to Mythbusters, which was a completely underrated and underappreciated television series on PBS, the pronunciation of this goddess's name is Bladawith. Well, she's a very difficult language to speak, so I was thrilled that they gave me a pronunciation. And you know what? I'm going with it. Her name is Bladawith, and that's that. Yes, I have an itch on my leg. Damn itch. Okay. It's one of Bladawith's owl feathers that are tickling my feet. That's what it is. Oh, yeah, I'm just racing through these. So, let's see. Where did I leave off? Yes. So, Baba Yaga. Fearlessness. Got that right. Balbo. Appropriately enough, laughter. Bladawith. Discernment. Had she used divine discernment, she probably would have had a different fate other than, being turned into an owl by two of the most powerful wizards of Kimry, Wales. Breed. I love Breed. Imbolc is one of my personal favorite witches' holy days, and traditionally honors her. And I love her energy. In a future video, I will talk about altars that are not physical, altars that are virtual, altars that are psychic or intuitive, and I will definitely reference her. The card is subtitled Partnership, and she definitely knows how to create partnerships with people, especially me, who, up until I met the late and great Alexei Kondratyev, did not care a whit for any Celtic goddess, never mind an Irish one. So, and please, don't hate, I'm being honest. There was a time when I had no appreciation for the pantheons of the Celtic lands. That's a reality. That is a truth. It's not a gospel truth. It's not a divine truth, but that's what my life was. Because, you know, after I reconnected with my Afro-Cuban heritage, there were certain goddesses and gods that did not draw me as much as they may have when I was younger. And I'm going to be completely blunt. You know, I forgot how Ember Honeyraven said it in one of her... I'm going to bust it out. I think that's how I'm going to bust it out. But I'm going to bust it out as lovingly as possible. You know, there are a lot of goddesses and gods that look white. Now, I know that I am not black. I know that, you know, I'm not as black as this speaker. You know, I'm not black like that, and that's okay. But you know, even when I was younger, my brother used to call me white bread. You know, he would call me Wonder Bread. I was like, Wonder Bread. You know, I could laugh about it now, but Wonder Bread. I'm like, I just did not like that. Ironically, I used to eat Wonder Bread a lot. Now I've you know, my tastes have become more sophisticated, but you know, that's another story. Anyway, so you know, after I reconnected with my Afro-Cuban heritage, and more specifically, after I remembered that African blood runs in my Caribbean veins, I was like, I want to get down with the sisters, you know, Oshun, you know, Oya, Imoja, you know, these goddesses that are black, you know, the ancient Egyptian goddesses that are black, you know. Hollywood wanted to portray Cleopatra as white. Now, yes, Cleopatra was, you know, well, she was half white at least because her father was Ptolemy. But she wasn't exactly, you know, she was not a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. You know, they wanted to make, you know, Hollywood wanted to make Cleopatra look like that, which is why they hired Elizabeth Taylor to portray her. I know I'm kind of getting off a tangent, on a tangent, and I apologize. So yeah, so let me go back to this. Ceridwen, one of my personal favorite Welsh goddesses, and of course the card is appropriately subtitled Transformation. Freya, free spirit. I just had one of those duh moments. Well, one of my best friends says what Oprah calls an aha moment. You know, but I would call it a duh moment. You know, duh, ha-ha! You know, I'm like, oh, so that's how I can be more free-spirited. I can call on Freya. And I can do this on her sacred day of the week, which is Friday. Gaia. The card is subtitled Nature, but for some reason I briefly saw the word nurture on it. How appropriate that card number 13 depicts Hecate. You know, modern witches honor her crone aspect, but in ancient Greece, it was her maiden aspect that was most often venerated. I almost never work with her mother aspect, which is ironic because she is a triple goddess, not unlike Briid, not unlike, for me, Oset, the ancient Egyptian goddess more commonly known as Isis, who is coming up. But yes, I love the triple goddess. I love the crone's garb. You know, I love the golden rope around her waist and her midriff. And I forgot what this symbol is called. Let me see if I can. Yeah, it looks like I would call that a trefoil, but it's these three circles that are interlinked, looking like round leaves. I forgot what this is called, but it's some kind of a Greek key. I'm going to say some kind of a Greek key because look who's holding it, a Greek goddess. Although in some sources, Hecate is a Thracian goddess. Thrace was an ancient Greek city-state. I have read that she is a Middle Eastern goddess, that she is a Turkish goddess. Interestingly enough, one of the translations of Hecate's name is to move from far away. She is a very powerful goddess. And I remember the first time I began working with Kay Steventon's The Spiral Tarot. This was the first time that I saw a goddess other than Osset on the High Priestess card, and that was Hecate. Here she was with 3 black hounds around her. Isis is not known for having hounds. Many of us often, almost always associate falcons or hawks with Osset, with Isis. Not dogs, not hounds, not wolves. Those are Hecate's animal familiars. Crossroads, appropriately subtitled. Hygeia, the Greek goddess of health and healing and wellness. Iris, the Greek messenger goddess of the rainbow, and of course the card is subtitled appropriately enough, communication. I've mentioned this author before. She is not everybody's cup of tea, but I love her. Her name is Z. Budapest. And it was in one of Z. Budapest's books that I learned that Iris is the goddess that guides women's souls to the Elysian fields, to the afterlife, in the ancient Greek or the Hellenic cosmology. Since Iris is the Greek counterpart of Hermes, one could argue that Hermes is the ancient Greek god that guides men's souls to the Elysian fields. I could be wrong about that, but it feels right to me, and I do go with my intuition a lot. Ishtar, passion. She is the morning star and she is the evening star. As the morning star, she is the wondrous warrioress. As the evening star, she is the sacred seductress. I love Ishtar. I love, love, love Ishtar. And this is my celestial mother. And I love that the card is subtitled Leadership. I was like, oh, leadership. Wow. And this goddess I love and adore, and I have mentioned her publicly. I am long overdue to go to one of her pujas. Kali Ma, the Divine Mother, the Holy Mother Matrix of the Hindu pantheon. And the card is absolutely appropriately subtitled Endings, Beginnings. Lakshmi. I gotta start having coins nearby so I can throw coins up in the air when I show an image of Lakshmi. And of course the card is subtitled Abundance. I want to say wealth, but it says abundance. Lilith. Isn't it funny how people love making her out to be a demon? Just because she wanted to do whatever the fuck she wanted. And isn't it interesting how so many traditional Orthodox religions are like, oh, well, if a woman does what she wants, she's evil. If a woman fucks whoever she wants, she's evil. If a woman speaks whenever she wants to speak, she's evil. You know how many women I've met that are Catholic and are very uncomfortable around the tarot? Never mind a goddess-themed tarot deck. Food for thought, ladies and gentlemen, food for thought. Mawika. I forgot what she is. Excuse me, I know she's a goddess. Mawika. She's Maori. I believe Maori is an Aboriginal tribe native to New Zealand. And I love that they have this card in this deck. Oh, the card is subtitled Anger. And Mawika looks very fiery like Pele. Mary Magdalene. Identity. And of course the card is numbered 22. Which reminds me of Kathleen McGowan's Magdalene Line series of novels, which I need to get back into reading. Oya. I love Oya. I revere her. Fierce, transformative winds, the power to say the right words at the right time, the cemetery, the marketplace, lightning, thunder. I associate thunder more with her because thunder, scientifically speaking, is created because of air. So I tend to associate lightning more with Shango, who is pure fire, as is lightning. But Oya, because for centuries women have invoked her to find the right words to say, I associate thunder with her. And she is a mistress of change. Make no mistake about that. Okay. Guanxi, the Chinese goddess of mercy, compassion, and forgiveness. I have yet to meet any energy healing practitioner that does not have an affinity with her. And here we have not so much a goddess, but a woman who was known to worship the goddess and was skilled in moon magic. Queen of Sheba. And the card is appropriately subtitled Negotiation, which is what she did with her divine consort Shlomo, also known as King Solomon. Rhiannon, my favorite Welsh goddess, no question. And of course, the card is appropriately subtitled The Mystery. And there she is riding her nightmare. Her white nightmare. Although the background doesn't look very much like night. Looks more like the clouds outside, the sky outside now. Scotch, or Scota, a Scottish or Celtic goddess. Ooh, she's just flying all over the place. Boundaries, very much so. Sedna, an Eskimo Inuit goddess, who is connected to sadness and sorrow and despair, but also wealth and plenty. Seshat, I love Seshat. I've been thinking about her a lot more, and I think that she guided my mind and my hands to do this video. Seshat is the ancient Egyptian goddess of intellect, of the mind, of communication, of writing. One could say that she is the feminine counterpart of Tehuti, who's more commonly known as Thoth, the ancient Egyptian god of alchemy, of moon magic, of communication. Just like Sarasvati is credited with creating the 50 characters of the Sanskrit alphabet, Tehuti is credited with creating the hieroglyphs of the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Skadi. I love Skadi because she is a Norse goddess of winter. And the card is appropriately subtitled Endurance. One needs to be persistent and enduring when dealing with winter, because winter can last a long ass frickin' time. And I'm going to say this now, ladies and gentlemen, those of you that live in the New York City area, those of you that live in the United States or live in a place where one sees and feels all four seasons, this winter is going to be brutal. You thought this because I've always felt that if the summer was brutal, so will the following winter. Some of you thought that last winter was brutal. Please, don't make me smack you. Spider-Woman, one of the most beloved Native American goddesses. I love Spider-Woman. And her presence is all over my apartment because there are spiders all over the place. I'm telling you, I need to read more about her. Because I'm like, wait a minute. All these spiders, Spider-Woman. Oh, duh. See, I'm having all these duh moments. Tara. Tara is, a lot of people don't know that there are 21 Taras. The 21 Taras are the mothers of all the Buddhas. And this Tara is looking quite white to me, because I'm looking at her skin, and of course, white is the combination of all the colors of the rainbow. Here's the rainbow. So I'm going to say this is white Tara. Who's probably one of the more well-known Taras. I have an affinity with green Tara, and I had a client who is a Reiki master. She's a Reiki grandmaster, and she's also a Rising Star healing practitioner. And I think she was also a vortex healing practitioner as well. Yes, she is. And she had given me these goddess initiations, and they were initiations into different healing modalities. So I've been initiated into the red Tara healing ray, the red Tara healing modality, the yellow Tara healing modality, and the black Tara healing modality. I think I need to do this on my own, though, because I haven't been in touch with her in a long time. She's become busier both in her professional life with her full-time position of employment and also her own metaphysical professional light-working practice. But I love and adore this client, and I love and adore this goddess. Venus, Roman goddess of love, beauty, and sensual pleasures, and of course the card is subtitled Romance. Vesta, Roman goddess of hearth and home and of the eternal flame. Many witches know about Vesta powder. Vesta powder is fierce. I love Vesta powder. In fact, I'm gonna use some Vesta powder after this video. White buffalo woman, also known as white buffalo calf woman, also known as white buffalo she buffalo, something like that. The card is subtitled Unity. And I would also say unity and peace. And Wuru Pranili, the Australian Aboriginal goddess, and the card is subtitled Direction. Maybe she can direct me into how to correctly pronounce her name. So there you have the 39 cards of the Journey to the Goddess Realm Oracle deck, as well as the card that I am divinely guided to use as a blank card or an unknowable card. And you have the booklet and you have the box. I love the feel of the box. I love the feel of the cards. I love the feel of the booklet. They feel good in my hands, physically and physiologically. Obviously, they feel wonderful and magnificent energetically and psychically. This is what I love about this deck, is that this is also a great deck of cards to have to create an altar. You know, if you want to have a card on your goddess altar and you're dedicating your lunar cycle or your week or your month or your season or your year to that goddess, these are great cards to have. Because I happen to love decks like this, where it's like you can use those cards as an instantaneous altar, like an altar for that particular goddess. And I love that they're tall. You know, they're taller than most tarot decks. You know, just to give you a comparison, you know, here's one of my favorite tarot decks, Tarot of the 78 Doors. And here is, let me see, yes. So they're tall. I like that. And of course, they're also wide, which I also love. I've always been drawn to tarot decks and divination decks and oracle card decks that have cards that are larger than standard size. By the way, for those of you that don't know, this is the standard size for a tarot deck. If it's taller or wider than this, it is larger than standard size. This is what's called smaller than standard size. When I first began giving readings professionally, I would use tarot decks this size. They'd be like, "Oh, those cards are so big." I'm like, what are you talking about? This is not big. This is standard size. But then I realized they didn't know. So, you know, I feel that I have a responsibility to educate people, especially people that are unknowing about the metaphysical, the magical, the mystical, or the spiritual. Anyway. So I hope you enjoyed my review video of Goddess. I keep mispronouncing I keep saying the name of this deck incorrectly, which is annoying me. Journey to the Goddess Realm Oracle Deck by Lisa Porter, published by U.S. Game Systems, which is headquartered in Stamford, Connecticut, in the United States of America. Okay, so I'm going to publish this video shortly. Thank you for watching. Have a great evening, have a beautiful day, and I think this is now my longest YouTube video to date. Okay, thank you, and many blessings to you and yours, and God is blessed. Bye-bye.